What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It is, in fact, another episode of Dr. Homebrew. No, your feed has not been hijacked by an XRP pump and dump, scam podcast. This is, we're not selling you Ripple or Iraqi donaires. I wish we were selling donaire. That'd be good, man.
Or ears. I thought this was ears up.
That's right. Yeah, you wish it was, dude. Actually, I wish it was too, to be honest with you. Actually, I don't know.
I'm going to Tokyo Disneyland in about a month and a half.
Oh, see, well, you know what? We'll talk to you about that. Yeah. But this is Dr. Homebrew. I told you guys we'd be back. I said it. Don't count us out. We're going to be back. We're doing some fun stuff every now and then. We have some more shows planned like this, but this is a show that Cooper specifically has been trying to build for a while now. And it's something we've talked about on the show a few times. We were like, oh, I wonder what would happen. What would be really cool is if we got a bunch of homebrewers to brew beers to an older style guideline and see how things have changed. And, apparently people listen to the show.
What?
And apparently we had at least three gentlemen here who have joining us on the show tonight who have done such a feat, who have done a task. And I'm really curious to see how this comes out. And here's my prediction. The beer styles are going to be more flavorful and more dynamic than they are currently. That's my guess, because when we were trying to pin down styles, we were trying to be homebrewers in the 90s and the 2000s. It was a lot about flavor. Now it's about streamlining. It's about narrowing down the grain bill. It's about, well, how much two-row can we shove in here, and then that's kind of it. I'm super excited for this. And anyway, so we are joined here by Paul, John, and Mike, and they are from different homebrew clubs. Paul and John are from the Knights of the Tap Handle up near Windsor, near Santa Rosa. And then Mike here, he's pulling double duty with Home, which is the homebrew club, and then the Napa homebrew club as well. So gents, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I know it's been a while. We've been trying to wrangle this puppy in for a few months now, but I'm glad we're able to do it. I'm glad we're able to fit it into my personal busy schedule. Being unemployed has its benefits, where we can, I don't care. Like these guys are like, oh, when can you do it? Well, I don't know. I'm going on vacation, or oh, I don't know. My work is busy. I'm like, I'm just sitting on the couch. I don't have anything to do. I will work around anybody's schedule. So you guys let me know. So I'm glad that we got it. I'm glad we got it figured out. So, Coop, what are we doing here, pal? Let's start it off, because we have a lot of beer to get through and a lot of stuff to talk about. More importantly,
I'm
pretty excited about the conversation we're going to have here, because I love an old beer style.
It's been 25 years since Y2K. And I just remember all the hoopla around that time, like all our computers were going to crash, and everything was going to explode, and we're doing compliance stuff for all the companies that I'd worked for. Like, oh yeah, we're ready for Y2K. We didn't know. We had no idea.
B of A was going to crash and steal my $4.50 in my bank account.
But also, I'd been tasting world beer styles and craft beer for, honestly, less than 10 years at that point in my life. I started. I traveled to Germany in the mid 90s in college, and then I started exploring homebrew in Oregon in like late 90s, 97. I just remembered it being a good time for beer. And I was talking on one of the shows, I think, about the first IPA that I tasted, and it brought back romantic feelings in me that it stirred something, and I said, okay, I have an idea. Let's go,
pal. Let's calm down a little bit. This isn't your OnlyFans podcast.
Let's do an old school homebrew competition. I didn't get to judge back in 97. I didn't become a judge till 2008, but I was, it was curious to me to be able to, tasting. I did taste some homebrews back then that my buddies had made, but I'd mostly commercial beers, small craft breweries and stuff, and I was tasting those, and it's like the beers we were talking about style evolution a lot over the course of the show, and the last however many years we've been doing this, 12 years or whatever, and it has crept even just during that time, and it crept a lot. Everything moved, and so just what it would be like to go in a time machine and go back. So like, let's do a competition.
There you go. You've heard of Hot Tub Time Machine. This is Louder Ton Time Machine.
Yeah. But then, John started emailing with me, and we, picked up the conversation and talked about the scope of it. At first, I was like, well, people could send in a bunch of beers. Well, it's like, well, that'd be hard to do. You'd have to do a series of shows and do it. It's like, we'll just get a few kind of semi-local to us homebrewers to brew beers for it, and just have a friendly, close in competition.
Yeah.
But among some brewers that have some real, kudos and have been around also since that time and can taste the beers with us and talk about.
Man, you're just calling them old timers now.
So
back in their day, folks,
we got to teach
pro mash.
Well, it helps for the younger generation to know what came before. It was not like, they seem quaint now. Like, oh, homebrew, they had a stout and a porter and every little microbrewery you'd go into, maybe a pale ale and maybe an IPA. And now you just go to a brewery and it's half IPAs and maybe a lager or two if you're lucky. And, but depending on the brewery, but, it might seem quaint, but it was really amazing time. And it was really, things were really exploding and changing. And I think we got also, this just captured like a spectrum of the beers that were available back then that you would taste. Some of the
Spectrum is not far from the truth. I'll tell you that.
This was the core four, right? The core four in every brew pub. Pale ale. Well, you might have like a blonde. So that was an IPA was kind of optional. You'd always have a pale ale, an amber, and a stout, maybe or a porter, and then that fourth one would be a blonde, which would be as close to like a bud you could get while being an ale.
Yeah,
those are the days, man. That's what I want whenever I go anywhere.
And then the people walking into the brewery, well, I only know Budweiser. What do you have that I could have that's similar to that? Oh, here's the blonde ale.
Which was really flavorless and not that great.
Let's open one of these, huh?
Okay.
Come on. What are we doing? Which one first?
Russian Imperial Stout.
No, I would start with the pale ale just because.
I thought the Imperial Stout was for a pre-game. I've already done that. Pale ale, PA on the cap.
PA.
Now you guys have already judged this. I do not judge, but I judge, but not homebrew.
Yeah.
So who brewed this one? Which one is the pale ale from?
Brewed it, John. Yeah.
John. Hey, all right, man. So let me know. Do me a favor. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts were when you heard about this sort of idea from Cooper.
Well, I thought it was definitely in my roundhouse because I was participating in brewing back in the early to mid 90s. This dates back really to about 1994. This was basically my tribute to Sierra Nevada, although the recipe isn't that close to a Sierra Nevada clone as we would think of it today.
Okay.
But I thought the whole project was right in my roundhouse, and
nice.
Got friends and people into the community to make the beers for this. So from the original recipe, if possible. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so this is like you went into your kind of archives basically.
Yes.
And was like, hey, I got something that I can dust off here.
Yes, exactly.
I love that, man. See, this is what if we just started a whole movement? What if now we're going to be responsible, 15 years from now, cultural anthropologists who study homebrewing are going to be like, you know what? We can pinpoint the exact moment the timeline shifted for beers.
They had something in the late 90s. This was really different. The beer had
that would be the resurrection of caramel malt then? Or?
Yeah, basically, too much of it. Too much caramel malt. Dump it in, but it looks good. I know. Do it. So this was your kind of homage to Sierra Nevada back in the day. And do you often go back and revisit some of your old recipes, or is it
not really? Most of them, just continually morph like everybody else's, like the styles have been. You just morph with the times and the newer hops and maybe some different yeasts and of course on modern pale ales, pulling out some of the caramel malt or all of it, and they progressed. But there's times that it's really nice to go back and drink some of the beers that still exist from that time and go, wow, these were really good beers.
I tell you, homebrewing aside, like what's usually in my fridge is Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Now it's like shifted to a lot of non-alcoholic beers, but Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is like it is good to. it is like seeing an old friend from like high school and like picking up where you left off kind of thing. Or it's like, this feels good. This feels right. I missed this mouthfeel sensation. I missed a little bit of extra crystal ball in here. It just tastes good, man. And it looks like you got a lot of carbonation, got a really good head on it. You know, it's been chilling for, you know, a little bit in my glass. So, Cooper, you know what? This is your fault. Why don't you go ahead and, and
it's all my fault.
Brother. Yeah.
All right. So in the 1999 guidelines, which you can find with a search online, BJCP 1999 guidelines, it's the category 6A is the American Pale Ale.
I'm totally interrupting because I don't care anymore. I just tasted it and I'm smiling right now. I'm smiling right now. This is going to be such a good.
This is the thing. The whole guideline for pale ale is just, 8 sentences or something here, but whereas now it's like 2 pages per.
Verbose, they were not in the.
Well, may I read 3 short pieces of the guidelines, or should I wait for my time?
Please do.
The comments. In the past, this category also covered what is now called American Amber Ale. American Pale Ales differ from American Amber Ales, notably by being lighter in color, but also in having less caramel flavor, and usually being balanced more toward hop bitterness. Ingredients: pale ale malt, typically American two-row, light to medium crystal malts, American hops, often the citrusy ones, such as Cascade, Centennial, and Columbus, but others may also be used, e.g. Brewer's Gold or Willamette. Brewer's Gold. Water can vary in sulfate content, but carbonate content should be relatively low. You want to guess what the 3 commercial examples are? Anybody want to throw one out?
Pete's Wicked Ale.
No. Jason, I thought you were going to pick out the one, or the first one of the 3.
I mean, got to be Sierra Nevada. But
well, yeah, there were 2 others. Anyone want to take a guess at those?
No. What are they? Go ahead.
Liberty.
What was that?
Liberty Ale.
Good guess.
Save that one. Save that one for later. Summit Pale Ale. Yeah, Deschutes is not it. Summit Pale Ale and Great Lakes Burning River Pale Ale. I don't know if Summit or Great Lakes are even still around.
Damn. Were these the guidelines that like Jamil helped write? Because I'm going to call him up.
These are the BJCP Beer Style Committee, which included several people that we all know, but none of them are Jamil.
Okay.
Jamil really tightened up the ship when he got involved with that.
Yeah, I don't think he had started. Well, maybe he had started experimenting with brewing, but I don't think he was doing much in competitions back then.
Yeah,
not as much, but yeah.
All right, Coop. Let's do it, baby.
All right. Well, I cracked it. The beer had a nice hiss upon opening, appropriate size cap and fill level and all that. It's got a pleasant high hop aroma up front with citrus and light herbal notes, I thought. No obvious grassiness, moderate fruity esters, no diacetyl. Malt is medium low intensity, bready and low, kind of a honey-like note. Clean ale fermentation, and as it warmed, I thought I might have got something a little more like a light pumpkin skin kind of a thing in there, but appearance wise, rich deep golden / light amber color. It's kind of in between, quite clear, very large head of off-white foam with creamy texture that persisted very well, and so full points for appearance. In the flavor, I got, again, medium high hops here with a citrusy character primarily. The malt is kind of biscuity and lightly caramelly, medium level of malt. And the beer finishes dry, kind of dry, medium dry. It's got a, kind of a hint of some sweetness, but it's dry appropriately, so well attenuated. The hops and the malt linger together in the aftertaste. Bitterness is medium low. For a beer that in the guidelines that I'm reading, it's expected to be balanced, somewhat more toward the bitterness. And, even Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, when you get a fresh one, it's got a nice little bite of bitterness in it. And I think it is maybe more sulfate in the water that it plays off of the hop. but this is kind of missing that bite. It's a little bit smoother in that way, and that's pretty refreshing. But just looking at the guidelines that way, it's like, okay, maybe that's a little bit not quite to what they list there, but quite enjoyable, lightly fruity from the fermentation. As I kept tasting it and as it warmed a little bit, I thought I got a very, very slight pumpkin skin-like kind of acetaldehyde, but it was really light, not detracting too much at all. But I kind of noticed that more in the flavor as it warmed up. It was the first beer I judged last night. Light-bodied in the mouthfeel, no obvious warming in there, no alcohol burn or anything. Medium-high carbonation. It wasn't creamy or astringent really, but it still has kind of a somewhat substantial feel for a pale ale. It's a little bolder, I think, than some modern ones.
Oh, absolutely.
And
there's flavor. It's not just two-row. It's not just base.
Right. Yeah. The overall impression is fairly refreshing. It's not a heavy beer at all, but it does feel substantial. The hop character and the malts are in the right territory. I would say just a bit more bitterness, or maybe accenting the bitterness that's there, would bring it a little closer to the 99 guidelines in there. The body is right. It's definitely, it's balanced to the hops, and all else here is pretty nice. I think that little pumpkin skin thing I'm fighting to find it tonight. It's not really crazy up there, but I landed on a 36 for this beer. It's the high end of very good, generally within the style parameters. Some minor adjustments could bring it up a little higher, even better, but it's a very enjoyable beer. I could definitely drink a pint or two of this, and it does take me back. I will say.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting too much on the pumpkin skin. I get like just kind of almost a candied orange.
Okay.
Kind of a thing. But yeah, I don't know. Delicious. All right, Shar, let's go, buddy.
All right. So Jason already stole my thunder about the homebrew clubs, so I'm not bitter about that or anything. Well, I'm not harboring any resentment over you doing that at all.
Well, that's good.
I'll just launch right into this. Bottle inspection was fine. I got a little bit lower hiss on opening than I expected, but it was a normal, maybe a little bit high fill, which is good. There's nothing bad about that, and that can often lead to the low hiss, which sometimes makes me think it's going to be not that carbonated, and sometimes it means it will be not that carbonated. Is it carbonated? We'll find out. Stay tuned and don't stop this download. Aroma, moderate to citrus grapefruit hop aroma. I thought it was a really great grapefruit character to me. I really enjoyed that. That low base malt aroma, a little bit of the caramel. I didn't get any pumpkin skin on this. Yeah, I was all proud of myself because I pulled these bottles out of the fridge and let them sit for about half an hour before I judged them, instead of doing what I've done the last 2 years of shows, like, oh shit, we have a show, and just pulling them out, drinking them cold, and then that covers up flaws. And I was so proud of myself for pulling them out of the fridge, letting them warm up while I was making some dinner, and then judging. But there is still a little bit more warming up to do. And I get definitely more caramel now that it's more room temperature than when it wasn't. Which is why I often like to judge beer more close to room temperature, which probably makes me weird and also a BJCP Grandmaster, because that lets you actually experience a lot of the sensory a lot better, but it's more of a room temperature liquid. I give it 9 out of 12 for aroma. Good job. Appearance is crystal clear. That remains exactly the same. I have my blur on, so even if you're watching on YouTube, it's not going to seem clear. Trust me, it's crystal clear.
There you go.
Medium golden color. It's got a low, moderately persistent head with white fine bubbles, 3 out of 3. Flavor, initially the flavor, like the aroma, is sort of a citrus grapefruit hop flavor. Malt is low, base malt plus some obvious caramel, and as it's warmed, yeah, I would definitely place that more of in a medium malt. And next time we do the show in 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, I'll pull these beers out of the fridge a little closer, a little further away from when we actually touch them. The bitterness is interesting. When I judged this a couple hours ago, the bitterness I thought that was very high. And coming back, I'd say it's more medium, maybe because I judged the IPA and the Russian Imperial Stout in the meantime. But to give you an example of the guidelines here, I wrestled with this a little bit, and it stated that the guidelines state that there's often moderate to high hop flavor. What does that mean? I mean, does it mean that sometimes, it often means that sometimes there's not?
Sometimes it's low, or
often means sometimes there's no hop flavor. So I don't know what that means.
It's true.
The guidelines, and I don't mean to slag the people that were involved with doing this. We all got better at all this stuff as we went along.
I talk about my other podcast, we talk about movies, like Disney movies from like the 60s and shit, and I always say, like, this is a time where we were learning, and by we I mean people with smarts, we're learning how to tell stories.
Yes.
We just covered I just finished editing The Ugly Dash-On is what we did for our show on the Buena Vista Boys is what it's called. Find it wherever you can get your podcast, please.
I cannot find it where I get my podcasts. I've been looking for that show forever, and I cannot find it on Podcast Addict.
No, well, you might have to add it manually, but anyway. And and it's a terrible movie. There's no plot, nothing happens, it doesn't go anywhere. It's a terrible movie, but it made a lot of money. And and that's always my grace that I give to those people. It's like they were learning how to tell stories. They were transitioning from TV to movie format, and it is not the same. And there was about 20 years where nothing really worked very well. Yeah. And so I think that's something like along these lines, right? Where it's like, they were doing the best that they could at the time, but now things are changing, tastes are changing. It's it's a different thing.
Oh yeah, my mommy would take me and my brother and sister to the movies frequently in the South in the summertime, because we were off school and it was 1,000,000,000 fucking degrees and 100% humidity every day, and just to get out of the house and go someplace cool. And we watched Disney re-released a bunch of stuff, and they'd release all those live action movies. I guarantee I saw The Ugly Dachshund in Tennessee in like 1974 one summer. And I guarantee I loved it because I was like 8.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, but yeah, the ambiguity in some of the, again, if anyone that wrote this is listening, I don't mean to slag you or insult you, but we were all learning how to do this, and that often made sense in that context. But yeah, leaving that door open to the sometimes, I think was an unintended consequence. So you really can't mark somebody down even if there were no hop flavor. So the hop flavor is fine. Bitterness in high. This beer is well attenuated. I like this a lot, because even though there's the caramel malt, which is obvious and it's apparent, this beer does not come across as sweet or wordy. It is well attenuated. The fermentation was clearly really good. You just get that flavor of the caramel malt. Finish is long and balanced toward bitterness. I wrote that 2 hours ago. And as I come back to it, I'd still say it's maybe balanced slightly toward bitterness, but it's more balanced overall. The malt comes out as it warms.
I agree.
So I'd say it's more overall balanced than I have before. I gave it 14 out of 20 for flavor. Oh, I did not mention, as it warmed as well, I started to get the pumpkin skin flavor that Cooper talked about, sort of pumpkin squash. I didn't get that in the aroma at all. I got that in the flavor.
I started getting it when I was in the flavor too, but I'm still struggling to get it tonight. So I don't know. It might just be something interesting in the flavors of the hops that we're not used to tasting much anymore, or something in there.
I think it's the caramel malt, and that's why I only took a couple of points off, because we're not used. That's another. It's fun to go back and drink these. We're not used to drinking these beers because we haven't had these in 20, 25 years, 30 years, and because we're not used to it. Our palates have kind of gotten used to the more modern interpretations. And I think the caramel malt, because that pumpkin skin does have it's in that family of flavors that, to me, that crystal malt falls in. It's kind of crystal malt adjacent. And it might be something that we're getting from the presence of crystal malt that we're just not used to. So I'm not going to...
If you brought a modern pale ale back to 1999, any average modern pale ale, like, oh my God, that's the hoppiest IPA I've ever tasted.
You would kill someone.
You do that? Yeah, it would be like, where's the bitterness? Why did you not put any crystal malt in this?
Yes, exactly. So mouthfeel, medium low body, carbonation is kind of medium low, which is going back to these guidelines. And the mouthfeel is supposed to be refreshing and more highly carbonated than many other styles. Again, more highly carbonated than many other styles. What, like a cask English bitter? Carbonation borders on effervescent in some examples. Just do no, please. But I feel like going back to the spirit of these guidelines, this beer should have been a little more carbonated. So I did take 1 point off for that, despite the fact that it's not effervescent or highly carbonated. It comes across more perky than astringent or creamy, nonetheless, in part due to the bitterness. And this is, to me, the interplay that you get sometimes between the perception of carbonation and the bitterness, which is a flavor component. 4 out of 5 for mouthfeel. I gave this 8 out of 10 for overall impression for a total score of 38. This is definitely maltier than a 2025 pale ale would be. It's tasty and drinkable. It's time juice. You ever watch that show Get a Life with Chris Elliott from this time period, about 25, 30 years ago?
Love that show.
He died at the end of every episode. It was classic absurdist comedy. And there was an episode where he went back in time by making time juice out of like Time and pages of Time magazine and a watch and some shit like that. It's the type of absurdist comedy it was. So this is kind of like that time juice that Chris Elliott would drink to go back in time and fix things. So yeah, well done. 38. I thought that's a nice entrance.
Excellent in the scoring.
It's a great. I've drank about 2/3 of this bottle. I'll probably finish it.
It's just so funny going through the modern score sheet though. It's like, okay, mouthfeel. I'm going to comment on the body, carbonation, warmth, creaminess, astringency, and other palate sensations. It asks for 6 things. The style guidelines comment on exactly 2 things. It's like, well, it's kind of light in body and it's pretty carbonated. So, just taste it like that should be what it is.
I wonder, it'd be fun to go back and look at a 1999 score sheet if I could find that.
Oh, yeah. Sick. Let's get a recipe. Would you mind sharing your recipe for this pale ale?
Sure. We're rounding off some numbers, a 5-gallon batch, although I'm giving you percentages anyway. It was 80% just regular 2-row. 5% Crystal 40, 5% Crystal 20, 5% Munich, and 5% white wheat.
White wheat? Okay. All right. Even back then, I feel
you always put a little wheat in your beer to get a head retention, right?
That's right.
Oh, I did that in 1999. Every single thing I made.
Always wheat.
Yep.
So for hopping, we got Chinook at 60 minutes. Which is only about 10 of the IBUs. We've got Cascade for 24 of the IBUs at 30 minutes, 8 IBUs of Chinook again at 30 minutes, an ounce of Cascade at Knockout, and a 2.5 ounce 3-day dry hop. It came in at 54 original gravity, 8 finishing gravity. So it's pushing the style at about 6%. And that was about 43 IBUs. Color on is 6.6 SRM. Good old 1056. That's about that.
All right.
Wow, it's amazing to me how much grapefruit you got out of those hops, which are none of them are ones that I think of as being
no.
grapefruity.
Chinook is totally grapefruity. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Depending when you pick it. When you bought it in 1999, it was like licking a pine tree.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's all, resiny, piney kind of.
Yeah.
Cascade can also give you grapefruit. It's just not. True. It's not one of the featured hops, modern hops. It's you think of for grapefruit.
It's very true. Usually, you think of like an Amarillo or something for a grapefruit, but that's really great hop character from those classic awesome hops.
There's a couple of
I love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's great.
Couple of sea hops there. Yeah.
Couple of sea hops, man. All right. What do you think? Let's run the second beer.
All righty.
What do you think? Which one should we do?
We need to move on.
I'm sorry. Hold on. What was the alcohol content of this beer?
It's at 6%.
6%. Yeah, because it did feel a little hot for me, but I'm a big baby. So
Well, if you're adding beers into the 90s, the big beer wins.
the big,
Not
yes.
100%, but the big beer wins.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Okay, what's next? Thank you for that, by the way.
Let's go to the American Amber Ale.
American Amber Ale. Is it the blue cap?
That would be the
Amber.
blue,
Yep, AMB. There we go. All right. Now
While we're pouring that one, a little bit back on the pale ale.
yes.
Well, one way to think on the pale ales too is look at Sierra Nevada and look at what the modern Sierra Nevada is, which is the same as the old Sierra Nevada. They entered and won World Cup of Beer last year in the ESB category because the beer hasn't changed. The style guidelines have.
Mm-hmm.
The beer hasn't changed the style. Yes. But I think
So
I think that there's not a whole lot of beers that you can say that about. You know what I mean? Like Sierra Nevada seems like they're just that standout of, well, this is the beer we're making. We're not going to be influenced by by anything, which is rare. I feel like, and especially in like the capitalistic sort of free market of beer that we have, or with anything. It is kind of contrary, I think, to what we are used to seeing, where it's like, oh, if there's a big backlash or if the consumer tastes shift or whatever, generally the product goes with it. But Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is sort of just the I don't know, the lighthouse on the shore.
It's definitely the most successful in a not changing the beer over the ages situation. I mean, there's a lot of other breweries that have gone out of business trying to to ride their flagship all the way to the ground.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yep.
Agreed.
Amber Ale.
And a lot of breweries that have unsuccessfully tried to brew their beer for modern tastes and just failed miserably because they can only do the other.
Yeah.
True. All right. Amber Ale. So who drew what the hell am I talking about?
That was my
the
beer.
Amber Ale. All right. Shar, why don't you go ahead and start this one off, please?
Will do. So I won't go through the American Amber guidelines like the Pale Ale, but there are 6 commercial examples of red ale or amber ale in this category. Does anyone wish to hazard a guess as to what any of those 6 might be?
Wholesale.
No.
Really? Ah.
That is surprising.
But what was that?
The Red Tail Ale.
Red Tail Ale is one of the 6. It's the third commercial example. So good call.
God, Red Tail Ale. Gee.
Mendocino Red Tail Ale.
That's a throwback, man.
Yeah.
That's a throwback.
I drank a lot of that 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I love it.
And Boone Amber is not there?
Which one?
Boone Amber from Anderson Valley?
Sadly, Boone Amber is not one of the commercial examples.
That's interesting.
I will read them unless anybody has another guess to throw out. I will read the other 5.
All right, read the other 5.
All right.
Alaskan Amber?
Which one?
Alaskan Amber?
No, although you think that should be there.
Yeah.
These are so odd choices. Number 1, Big Time Atlas Amber. I don't even remember there was a brewery. I vaguely recall a Big Time back in the day. Number 2, Bell's Amber. Okay.
Bell's Amber. Does Bell's even make an amber anymore?
Probably not, but I mean, they had to. They were clearly tried to get some examples from all over the country, and probably I mean it's 1999. Of course, Bell's made an amber. Of course, they're going to make an amber, a pale ale, IPA, and a stout.
Right.
Then number 3, Mendocino Red Tail Ale. Number 4, I feel like I should be on Family Feud, kind of reading these out.
Survey says
I'm no Steve Harvey. Number 4, Rhino Chasers American Amber Ale. I remember there was a Rhino Chasers at LAX at like Terminal 1. Oh God, that was it was not good even then. Sorry if anyone from Rhino Chasers is listening. Number 5, Saint Rogue Red Ale.
Yay!
And number 6 probably would be my favorite of this group, North Coast Red Seal Ale.
Red Seal is good. It's
Red
still
Seal is
good.
damn good. It's still really good.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Mendocino during my honeymoon a few years ago, and my honeymoon a few years ago, and we went to North Coast, and man, every one of those beers is solid as they've always been.
Yeah,
So,
I love those dudes up there, man. They're nice guys.
Yeah, they really are. And even they'll make different seasonals or whatever, and even this stuff that stuff is really good. So not to be a promo. North Coast, if you're listening, advertise. You can sponsor our one-offs.
All right, get to the point.
Not a bad. All right, so opened the bottle. It was great, good fill. Slightly it was a hiss on the low side, but there was a hiss. Excuse me. I got a low citrus hop aroma. Wait, am I reading that? No, this is the embryo. Medium high malt aroma, including there's some low to medium caramel. What's weird is 2 hours ago, I got like a cardboardy oxidation on this, and now I do not. Excuse me.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm coughing all of a sudden. Okay, so I give that 6 out of 12. I'm gonna on the fly, because we do this in Dr. Homebrew with real-time judging. I'm going to come up to a 9. So, because I'm not getting that oxidation anymore, so I'm not going to ding you for it if it's not there. Appearance. This is what I'd call clear of a darker golden color, crystal clear. There's an ivory head that is moderately persistent. I poured this a long time ago, so you can't see the head here. It still was moderately persistent and well within what the style would have required. 3 out of 3. Flavor. Initially, it's a malt-oriented flavor with a sort of low medium caramel and a low citrus hop flavor. There is maybe a little bit less hop flavor than I would expect for the style, but I'm getting more now. The style does require moderate to high hop flavor, so it is definitely moderate. Excuse me. That's it's at the lower end of the range, but I think it's in the range. Low bitterness, balances toward malt. It's well attenuated. Finish is medium in length and balanced toward malt. There is still, I didn't get the sort of cardboardy oxidation in the aroma. I do get some of that in the flavor. And that's partly why I think people got away from using caramel malt, because it's a little more vulnerable to oxidation than some of the other malts, and it'll oxidize faster than the other malt flavors. So 13 out of 20 for flavor. Mouthfeel, body's medium. Carbonation is low. It's less than expected for style. No warming, somewhat creamy. Gave that 4 out of 5 for mouthfeel. 7 for overall impression for a total of 36. I think this is this is a beer is a great reminder of the days when every brew pub offered amber as part of their core 4. The oxidation is also a reminder of why we don't use caramel malt that much anymore. And the recommendation of the brewer is next time, kick my ass to pick up your beer faster, because if I had actually, I was at the time I was supposed to pick up these beers. I had 3 jobs. Now I'm down to 2. Unfortunately, the one that I don't have anymore is the one that actually paid. So that's kind of an issue. But having said that, next time I will do better at trying to mule beers back from entrance. So
I hope you're not counting Dr. Homebrew as one of these jobs of yours.
Well, if I count it, then I would have had 4 jobs. I'm down to 3. So
that's true.
Speaking,
hey, welcome.
I have plenty of jobs that don't pay. So there you go.
Welcome, my friend.
Yes, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, excellent. All right, Coop.
Okay. Opened the beer, got a moderate hiss, had an appropriate size cap, fill level, label removal, etc. In the nose, I got a pleasant medium caramel malt aroma, greeting the nostrils, paired with a medium low citrusy, lightly resiny hop that accents it well. Aroma is on the lighter side overall, which is not bad, but it was just a little lighter than I kind of expected. Seems like a very clean fermentation. Light fruity esters in there. No DMS or diacetyl or anything. In the appearance, I got a little hung up here with the color. I guess I would call this deep amber. It's not. It's a deep amber. It's not like a light. And oddly, for an American amber ale, the appearance is described as being light copper to light brown in the guidelines. So even if it's amber, it's wrong. It's like gold to amber to no, you got to go all the way to copper. I just didn't think it was quite copper. It's definitely not brown, but that, again, that's fine. A fine point, but it is an amber ale. It's quite clear, has a medium low whitish head that fades to a low cover. After a while, it stayed pretty well. Mostly finer bubbles and some medium-sized bubbles in there. But yeah, it just seemed maybe a little bit lighter, so I knocked it down a point on the appearance. It has kind of a nice gold orangey hue, though. It's a really pretty beer, very clear. Flavor-wise, has a medium-high, pleasant malt character with some caramel, some rich biscuity notes, and a little bit of sweetness, but not too much at all. It's well attenuated. There's some low alcohol noted, but it's nothing poking out harshly at all or sharply. Seems like it was very cleanly fermented with a light fruity esters coming in to complement the malt. It's definitely balanced to the malt. The bitterness is, I would say, medium low. Lets the malt shine cleanly. It's semi-dry, like I said, it hints at a little bit of sweetness, but it's not a sweet, overtly sweet beer at all. Has a nice low citrusy, resiny hop flavor in there, kind of faint behind the other aspects. But honestly, I found the balance to be pretty nice, and I really liked the flavor that I got in here. The aroma was a little bit light, but it kind of kicked in when you got into the flavor there. Mouthfeel-wise, this is a medium light-bodied beer, I would say. In the guidelines, they want this to be medium to medium full. It doesn't feel full at all to me. It feels a little bit on the lighter side, just a little south of medium, but not crazy light. The only two comments, it says body is medium to medium full, carbonation typically moderate. That's all it says about mouthfeel. So I'll go on. It doesn't really have any obvious warming or any creamy kind of textures to it. It's not astringent at all, and that's fine. So I doubt they'd want that in this style anyway, if they'd bothered to mention it. I gave it a 3 out of 5 for mouthfeel, just because it just felt a little lighter, and but no obvious problems. Nothing offensive or harsh or sharp. Overall impression, it's a very cleanly brewed amber ale. Stops short of the kind of classic color and richness of some of them, but it still has a good balance on its own. I would increase the medium and darker caramel malts in here, just because of what it calls for color-wise in the beer. Or you could trick it and add something, some dehusked dark malt or something.
You guys are killing me with this coughing shit, man. You're gonna make me spend so much time editing this show. I'm gonna hate you, and I'm gonna hate you when I'm done.
Okay, I got the frog out of my throat.
Okay, good.
The beer is, if you increase those darker caramel malts a little bit, it'll be probably a little more flavorful too, and a little richer in color. I
like it. Don't touch it.
Also, because of this, you could, if you wanted to darken it up, you might want to add a little bit more aroma hop just to balance that out, because the balance of it is really nice where it is. I really liked it a lot. But yeah, it's very, very clean, nice to drink as it is. Looking at the new guidelines, the color has crept lighter. It starts at like dark amber now in the new guidelines. So this is maybe a bit more of a modern amber ale, if you look at it that way. But
ironically,
I landed on a 37 for this. I could see going to 38. It's a very enjoyable beer, and very drinkable right now. I didn't get the oxidation as much. I didn't really get that myself.
I don't get it either too much. What it reminds me of is when you would go into like these. It's going to start off weird, but end on a high note. So stick with me. It's when you go into these like chain brew pubs, and they like BJ's, for example, where they have to make everything middle of the road, to appeal to everybody. That's what it reminds me of. because it's not there. There's a lot of amber ales that I can remember that are they're too over the top. They're too like chewy or cloying or whatever. But this with amber ales specifically, and we talked a little bit about the crystal malts and the caramel malts and how those can be heavy, and then they're more prone to oxidation, and they can be too much of a good thing is still too much, right? But I think this style lends itself well to a baseline approach. You know what I mean? Amber ale to me should be on the lighter side a little bit, because I think it accentuates a lot of those malt characteristics that we appreciate in a style like this. So for me, I this is like a 40 for me. I love this beer. This is a great beer. Fantastic. Easy drinking, light enough where you want another one, but it's still satisfying. And yeah, it's great. I like it.
I really liked it too, and I hated to have to nitpick it a little bit to these style guidelines.
Yeah, but that's your job. See, that's
what
why
I could dig out of
That's
here.
why I gave you the job of that.
Yeah,
where I'm just the nice guy now.
Could I drink a few pints of this at a party?
Absolutely. Oh, are you kidding me, dude?
I still have another bottle in my fridge. I'll save for later. So
yeah, absolutely. Can we get a recipe from you?
Yeah, that's pretty simple. So back in the day, of course, we've got a lot of pale malt in there. It's 9.5 pounds of pale malt for a 5-gallon batch, and then a blend of Crystal 40 and Crystal 80. And then, as John mentioned, you got to put white wheat in there if it's the 90s. So, and that's it.
Hell yeah, dude. White wheat was like the Jinko genes of the malt world. You had to do it.
Well, obviously, you wouldn't have any head without that wheat in there.
True.
But,
yeah.
The hops are equally simple. It's just a small charge of Columbus at the beginning, and then lots of Centennial, a tiny dry hop. There was a half ounce of dry hop at the end, but that's it. And of course, 1056. So really, that was the key for me for recipe formulation. I thought about going back process-wise to plastic buckets, and luckily when I looked at my brewing records, thank God I had moved out of plastic buckets by 1999, so I was able to skip that.
There you go. Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Hey, you're more than welcome. But yeah, that was really it.
Plastic
It was make sure.
True.
Just make sure there's lots of crystal malt in there and a lot of C hops and some 1056. That's what it's all about.
There you go, man. You're going to try time traveling soon.
Tastes like you used some pretty fresh Centennial in there. I like that little resiny edge you get in there. It's nice underneath the.
Well, that really is the biggest thing between the 90s and now is, the ingredients are so much better, just way, way better.
Well, and I think homebrew shops are getting access. They have access to more of these things because there are larger homebrew shops. They can buy more in bulk. We know how to package things now. Like there's a lot that's changes in the process from growing to selection, that the quality is so much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're not getting your hops in whole cone hops in a paper bag.
No, you're not. No. But you could.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
But what I really thought about when I put the beer together, you guys hit it right on the head. Back in the day, you're lucky if there was 4 taps, but one of them, even if there was only 3, it was almost certainly going to be an amber. but that amber was going to be so sweet, and you really didn't want to drink very many of those. And I stuck with the recipe formulation, but I just didn't want 5 gallons of really heavy, sweet amber. So I got to tell you the truth, though, you kind of caught me. I didn't go back and look at the 90s guidelines. So I did look at the color range using the more modern guidelines, and I cranked it all the way to the limit on the high end of color, thinking that fit my recollection better. I didn't realize that the color had changed that much in the guidelines between then and now.
That's wild.
A lot of things have changed a lot.
It starts at light copper in the older guideline, but it starts at deep amber in the newer one. So it's it's not that far off, honestly. Just a little shift, but yeah. And I think you can still make them towards light brown or something, but or at least deep copper, but I'd have to look at the new one again.
Yeah, it's just funny. I don't think that customers really knew what amber color was. You know, they back then. You know, so
Yeah.
now when you think
No.
about it, you're like those amber beers weren't even close to amber
Yeah, that's
originally, but
like your amber car signal blinker. Yeah, no, it's straight to red. And they
Yeah.
called a lot of them red ales too, you know, and I think that was
Well, it's
part of
funny. The
they
Saint
kinda-
Rogue Red.
Yeah, they
is in
combined.
here.
There was reds and there were ambers, and they had to settle on a name for the style, and they just kind of combined them.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of different beers being made back then. They'd call them whatever they wanted to.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's take a break, and then we'll get to Mike. Mike's been waiting patiently, very quietly, and we'll get to his beer, and then I don't know. We can. What are we going to have, like a roundtable discussion, Cooper? You
There's
have a-
another beer too from Ken,
Yes.
who isn't able to join us. He's traveling or something, but we got to do Ken's IPA as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Well, let's do that. Let's take a quick break. Paul and John, are you guys going to hang out? Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we're
Sweet.
hanging.
Perfect. All right. So hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew for some reason. We'll be right back. All right, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. We are back here on Dr. Homebrew with Mike. And Mike, what beer did you brew for us today, man?
The Imperial Stout.
The Imperial Stout.
I think, yeah, I don't know. Order wise, do we want to go there yet, or should we do the IPA first?
Let's do the Imperial Stout. Mike's been waiting for
Okay.
58 minutes to say anything, and the first word he said is Imperial Stout. Like,
Yeah,
we need to, you know, the man needs
Okay.
to exercise a little bit. What do you think? Is that all right? Is everyone fine with that?
Let's do it.
I'm
Yeah.
down.
All right.
We
So
already
we're
judged.
professional. Don't do this at home.
No,
We're
that's
professionals.
true.
We can
Yes.
judge an RIS before an IPA and still be accurate. But yeah,
That's
don't
right.
kids don't do this yourself.
So, Mike, you're a bigger beer brewer, right?
Well, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So
How-
this beer, I'd say for the last 10 years, I've been brewing with my son, Alex,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm getting old and we make a good team.
Yeah.
So this beer was brewed by Alex and myself.
Nice.
But it is almost identical to the beer. The oldest recipe I could find in my collection was 94.
Wow.
It's almost exactly the same recipe.
I love that. That's great, man. What did you think of this idea when you got roped into this?
Well, I thought we were just supposed to brew beers that we had brewed in the 90s, not necessarily to the guidelines. So this beer is not to anybody's guidelines.
Okay.
We got to judge him to something.
Yeah, you got to judge them.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's totally fine. I think either way, if you had done it to just you or the guidelines, we would still be judging it to the 90s guidelines. So either way, it works, man. I think it's great, and I love the sort of like older recipe for a big ass beer, because back then, if I recall correctly, big ass beers were big and they had a lot going on. They've been sort of stripped down a little bit until you get to the pastry stouts now, but like. So I'm expecting a lot out of this. I'm expecting a lot of flavor and a lot of different stuff going on, and I'm excited about it. Cooper, Char already went. Why don't you
Alright.
start us off there? Man?
Okay. Wow. Yeah, the beer had a high hiss upon opening, good fill level and capping and all of that good stuff. Yeah, well, right off the bat, it was very nice hiss. It just pours this big, thick, dense, chewy layer of foam here. So you have to let that settle down. So I'm just going to wait 5 minutes and then I'll start talking.
Okay, we're gonna sit here in silence.
2 pounds of weed in this one.
2
Yeah.
pounds of wheat. See, there you go, man.
The wheat is the secret ingredient. Yes.
It was
It's
the 90s.
yeah.
True.
This beer is extremely richly roasty on the nose and has elements of baker's chocolate, an espresso roast coffee, to a pretty intense level. Medium high fruitiness, kind of dark fruit and raisin in there with the malt side of things, and some from the ferment, I guess, too. But yeah, light resiny hop. Well, balanced against everything else that's there, it's probably pretty forward resiny hop. But medium high esters, no DMS or diacetyl. It's clean. I'm getting kind of a light ashiness, a little bit of a dark roast, not quite burnt, but getting towards there. Like it's intense, a little campfire in the background, but not like super smoky or anything like that. It's just like very, very dark, intense malts just dominating all over the place here. Appearance wise, it's got a very rich, like when I pour it, it's like, that's about as dark as an imperial stout can get.
The answer is none more black
Without being completely black. It's like most beers are approaching.
There's none more black than this.
Brown, dark brown. This is very, very, very dark brown.
Yeah.
And you're almost approaching black. The head is thick and forebodingly dark. It's brown in color, light brown, I guess. So everything about this beer is dark and thick and chewy and heavy and big. Once the
you're right. You're right about the you were saying like bit like roasty, but not over the top, and smoky, but not over the top, and whatever. And you're absolutely right. And it's like almost pushing the limit on all of those flavors. And sometimes it goes maybe a bit too much in the, like, I'm very sensitive to like a roast malt, the black roasted barley. I can't do it, or black patent. I can't. It's hard for me. But this goes just to that line. Like if you went farther in any different direction, it would blow the whole thing up. So it's also about as close as you can get to the cliff without going over.
Now, don't lean forward.
Yeah, don't.
Damn though, and the flavor, and in the guidelines too. I love this, that one of the descriptors in the guidelines is tar-like. Russian Imperial. I started thinking about tar. Like, what would it be like to drink tar? I
don't know. There's a pit of it in LA you can go try.
History said to be popular with the Russian Imperial Court. That's all I say about the history.
The history is a rumor,
but overall impression.
it's supposedly really popular somewhere else. I don't know.
Some people tell me that the Russians liked it. BJCP 1999 guidelines overall impression says an intensely flavorful beer, roasty, fruity, and bittersweet with a notable alcohol presence. Dark fruit melts with roasty, burnt, almost tar-like sensations. So I just had to put
I wonder
tar-like sensations.
I wonder if it's that kind of acrid, acidic thing.
Yeah, it's a very acidic. Yeah, acidic beer because of all the
acidic malt. Yeah, I wonder if that's what they mean by tar-like.
Maybe. I don't think it tastes like tar, but I put tar-like on the sheet just for fun.
You got to
tar-like.
You got to use the vocabulary.
Little ashy burnt roast bites up front with intensity akin to strong espresso. So it's not in a bad way. It's just
as opposed to weak espresso.
Yeah, or as opposed to tar. But I mean, like, there's regular espresso, and then there's like the more intense ones you can get. But rich malt leaning way toward the roasty side, strong, but it's still smooth for what it is. The alcohol is very evident, but it's clean and not harsh. It does coat all the way down the throat and the mouthfeel. I'll get there, but there's a clean, strong ale ferment with lingering roast and coffee in the aftertaste. Very rich bitterness, mostly from the dark malts, I'm sure. So the beer is not sweet per se. There's so much going on that it's hard to get at the sweets, but it seems pretty well attenuated. And I think that's what's letting the roastiness and the edgier stuff kind of shine and bite as it does. So I'd say it's fairly dry, maybe semi-dry. I don't know how far down it goes. And sometimes it'll surprise me. I'll taste an Imperial Stout. Like, man, that's a dry Imperial Stout. I'm like, well, it finished at 10:30, but okay, where'd you start? But it's relative. If it starts high, sometimes you can finish fairly high and it still tastes like it's dried out quite a lot in an Imperial.
And Jamil would always talk about on, like, can you brew it? How deceptive it, just what you taste can be as far as determining attenuation, because he would have beers that even were it seemed like they were very dry, but had a lot of residual alcohol, or residual sweetness, even when they were not this big. And there's a lot of things, other ingredients and bitterness and things that go into that perception of attenuation. But yeah, it's sorry. I mean, be quiet about that for a minute.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I'm guessing, I'm getting a fair amount of alcohol in the nose and in the flavor, and I'm guessing this is definitely somewhere north of a North Coast Old Rasputin. It's got a lot more to it. So it's and in the guidelines here, it can go 8 to 12%. For some of them, probably went north of that. So, and the mouthfeel has such an interesting mouthfeel sensation to it. It's like, you think about the roastiness and the richness and the burnt malt kind of quality, and you feel that in the mouth too. It's like this kind of leathery, chalky, ashy impression that kind of abuses your tongue a little bit as you're going, along with the huge body and the alcohol warmth that is smooth but coats all the way down, prominent, lingers down the back of the throat.
Leathery, chalky.
It's just biting, and it kind of peppers your tongue with all these different, I think that the
chalky I can get and
maybe not leathery so much.
Well, let me pause because I
was struggling to find a word for it.
No. I only repeated it because I think it's a very interesting flavor combination. The chalky comes through in a very positive way.
Well, this is mouthfeel. This is just the feeling of it, not any taste. So yeah. Right.
But the leathery, those two words together, I was just trying to get a better grasp on. I'm not saying that you're an idiot for putting those two things together, but
it says burnt, ashy, leathery, chalky impression abuses the tongue. It's really biting. Really makes its presence known. It's got heft to it, and it's got kind of a peppery, it peppers your tongue with sensations as you're drinking it. And I was like, what is that? Wow, that's a lot. So, it's definitely not creamy. I would say it probably is somewhat an astringency from the dark roast, the intense dark roast in there. So that could be, it's not like overly, husk, overly stringent with a lot of husk, like over sparged or something, but it's biting just because of all the dark malts and the acidity that kind of drives everything. I guess my overall impression is this. It's funny. I said this beer is almost a parody of itself. It's just so rich, so huge, so roasty and burnt dark malt tasting that it actually has somewhat of a balance. I don't remember any commercial beers tasting like this. Some homebrews for sure, and I didn't have the privilege of tasting Mike's homebrews back in the 90s because I wasn't living out here in California yet. But
no excuse.
In the late 90s I did. So yeah, maybe yeah.
Well, and I think because the beers like this back in the day were so they weren't so dry. They weren't so well finished, fermentation. So you can do the recipe all you want and brew to the style guidelines all you want. But I think we know more now about fermentation and yeast pitching and shit like that than we did in the 90s.
Yeah, and
either way, it's still gonna. The finish is gonna be different, and I think it's gonna be more evident in a beer like this. Yeah.
There's just nothing subtle about the beer, and you remember going back in that time, you'd be like, "Oh, here, try this beer," and you'd taste something like this. It's like, I've never tasted anything like that in my life. You had a Guinness, and then you drink this, and it's like, this is a whole other world. I'm just laughing as I drink it, and it's so intense. It's just like, wow.
I do wish I can go back and taste beers like this for the first time, because I wonder what I would. Yeah. I forget what I would think. I forget what I experienced. Right.
Yeah, then I just wondered, did Mike just decide to punish us for having this crazy idea, with the most over the top obnoxious?
Mike spent $1,200 on ingredients just to punish us.
My other thought is, okay, I'm going to land at I don't know. I put 36 just because it's just reading the guidelines from back then, it shouldn't be quite this. The balance is not quite there, but it has a balance all its own. I'd go 36 to 38 maybe, but it's just, I think this beer needs to be aged a little bit.
Real fast, what would you give it now? Real quick, first blush now. Like in the modern guidelines.
I think it's too much, too richly roasty. It's so much. Yeah, it's still, I don't think now that the guidelines say open it up to like intensely crazy. Like, I mean, some of them can be. I don't know. It's
I'm putting you on the spot, and I love doing that.
I've had some of Mike's Imperial Stouts that I think are better than this one, but maybe some of them might have been a little more smooth out. I'd like it to be a little bit more smooth out underneath to be more appropriate to my idea of the style.
You know what would be a good thing to do, a good comp for especially those of us who've been brewing for years and years, is take, like, using Mike's example, take this recipe from 94 and then a modern one.
Modernize it. Yeah.
And compare the two side by side. It's a lot of brewing and a lot of work for everybody, but like, to me that would be really interesting, like almost like a profile of how a particular homebrewer has evolved in their brewing, or the recipes have changed or whatever. I don't know. It would be impossible to do, but it'd be a lot of fun.
Mike he didn't evolve. He still makes really good beer, and it's just the same recipe he always used, right? And he's brewing with his son now. He makes his son do the heavy lifting, maybe, and that's great.
One thing to say is that we've had beers with the same recipe that were 10 years old, and they're magnificent. Right, so this is young. This is only 18 months old.
Okay,
really needs to get to 3 to 5 years.
Yeah,
but I didn't have anything of that age.
I love setting Imperial Stouts down and letting them age a little bit. 3 to even 5 years. They can, when they're this strong, they'll hold up nicely. And before you get too much soy sauce.
I thought I would have pegged it at 4 to 6 months.
It seems
it is so intense, and it is so the hops can be so there is that resiny forwardness that, in my opinion, dies down a little bit more, as things age out and kind of blend together. I wouldn't have expected this is that old.
I'm guessing this is about 12 or 12.5%. But I'd love to hear we need to hear Brian's
hear Shar. Let's go Shar.
Yeah, okay. I talked too long. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Nothing to be sorry about. We just drank some really good 12, 14, 18% Imperial Stout, and I'm still drinking that. So that's where we're at right now. So before I go into my score sheet, as before, there are 6 different commercial examples in the 1999 guidelines of Russian Imperial Stout. Who would like to venture a guess as to what one of those 6 might be?
Saint Rogue Red.
Old Rasputin.
Old Rasputin.
You gotta have Old Rasputin on there.
Old Rasputin is number 5. Rogue Imperial Stout is number 4. So I'll give you Rogue.
There you go.
That leaves 4 more.
Come on.
They might be alphabetized.
No, they're not alphabetized.
I don't know.
Okay, number 1, Samuel Smith Imperial Stout. Okay. This is back before they separated out the American Imperial and like British Imperial. Okay. Number 2, Courage Imperial Stout, which I believe might have been English.
British. Yeah.
Number 3, Brooklyn Black Chocolate Stout.
Okay.
Never had that one. And number 6, Victory Storm King.
Victory. Okay.
So it's
this had Rogue Imperial Stout in there too, right?
Yeah. And at the show break, I found the BJCP Legacy site and found the 1997 and 1998 guidelines, which are even hilariously less descriptive than this one. And the 1997 guidelines and 98 guidelines actually said like east, west, or central, like based on they were deliberately trying to pick a set of commercial examples that people could find around the country before there was like national distribution, right? So some of these you'd only find like today, you might only find that like one state or one region or something.
So they
would deliberately tell you, okay, and I appreciate that too. Yeah, it makes sense, especially at the time. Like maybe nobody had national distribution and you wanted to try a beer and you were out east. Yeah, go find a Victory. Okay, so this Mike, this beer is great. I love this beer a lot. Bottle inspection checks all the boxes. Medium hiss, so that's good. Sometimes carbonation can be very challenging in big beer like this. Aroma, very high malt, rich and complex. Notes of prunes and cherries. There's roast at a medium low level or medium high, medium high level that doesn't dominate everything. And like I agree with Cooper that and JP that this is not an acrid black patent dominated beer at all. In fact, I don't get in either the aroma or the flavor that acrid black patent stuff, which I gave up in my stouts years and years ago. If I had to do a throwback to my recipe for my Christmas stout that I did in like 2004 versus what I would do today, it'd be undrinkable versus good. So that's but a lot of that was getting rid of that black patent malt. I got low to medium cocoa chocolate. There's a definite difference between roasted barley and black patent malt for listeners. Listeners, go to your homebrew store, try a pinch of acrid black patent malt, and then have something to wash that down with, or some gum, or some peppermint candies or something, because you will not like that. And chew in a little bit of roasted barley, and it's actually flavorful and good, and you'll understand what we're talking about, the difference between the two. I gave it 10 out of 12 for aroma. Appearance, 3 out of 3. The head, you poured that into the glass, and it's just a heroic head. It's, I have these, little glasses from, Justin's, commercial beer fest from 10 years ago. And I poured some in here, and, a third of the glass was the beer and 2/3 was the head. And that lasted for a long time. And that head was up there. It's a sort of a dark brown head, extremely persistent. This is one of the handful of beers. This is literally black. This is not something that's very dark brown. And probably if I had some sort of photometer or something, yes, there's no such thing as pure black. Yes, it's probably very dark brown. Yes. But just from a pure sensory visual basis, this is just black. And it's so black and so opaque that even holding this at an angle, you really can't see through even a little bit of this, at least the lighting that I had earlier when I tried. So that's really an accomplishment. I get 3 out of 3. Flavor, initially the flavor is very high dark malt, roasted barley, and cocoa/chocolate. The hop bitterness climbs up to not only balance, but even tilt the balance toward bitterness, which is quite an achievement when this beer is so very malty. By mid-palate, it shifts over to being more bitter. And then, toward the finish after mid-palate, it shifts back toward malty / being, almost totally in balance. It's well attenuated. There's, to me, low to no hop flavor, which is fine. It's going to be really hard. It's hard in dark beers in general to have hop flavor that shines through the dark malt. And in something that's this malty and this rich and this complex, I don't know what you could do that would make it, anything other than vegetal or weird to try to get hop flavor into this, in my opinion. Maybe, actually, maybe today in 2025, maybe some of the modern hop products that are, the hop, not the oils, but the cryo and things like that, maybe you could get something that gets some flavor in there, but that's going to be an uphill battle that I think is not worth fighting and not worth the expense. And you're not going to get a result that's going to be any better than having low to no hop flavor. Mm-hmm. I get medium prune / olive, mid palate, very complex, 15 out of 20. Mouthfeel, 5 out of 5. It's warming. I'll skip to that ahead of the other things on the guide on the score sheet. It's warming. Carbonation is low. That's fine. Body is high. It's creamy, despite the fact that it's kind of so big. It's not astringent at all. It's more toward the creamy side. Although, the thing that mitigates against that doesn't have to be creamy or astringent. as I finish about half of this bottle, my tongue is getting numb. Not from a sense of being able to taste. I can still taste. I get this.
You got the lucky bottle. Yeah.
It's got 5 grams of fentanyl. That's what makes it good.
That's right.
No,
put your finger on the cap and rub your gums later.
Exactly. But I kind of like a dog with eating peanut butter. I kind of rub my tongue on the roof of my mouth. I'm like, okay, I can taste, but my tongue's a little bit numb because I suspect I think Cooper is.
That's what I was trying to describe too. The numbness, the edginess, the bitingness. Yeah.
Like, is it like you do a lot of blow? Does your tongue get? I don't know, but it's maybe you can't taste it. I don't know. But whoops, okay. Clearly, it's not directed at me. It's something in the room. But there's
a cat probably.
I think there's a cat. Like I just have kittens right here. They're nice, but they're not jumping all over everything. Oh, they did. One of the kittens did shove its head into the glass with your Russian Imperial Stout off camera, and I had to lift it up. But I wasn't so worried about drinking Russian Imperial Stout after my kitten had its head in there. I'm like, it weighs a pound. It probably shouldn't be licking 12% alcohol. I think it's maybe 14 or 15. I'll be curious what Mike says. My guess is more like 14 to 15 because my tongue is numb. 5 out of 5 mouthfeel. Overall impression, 8 out of 10 for a total of 41. This is really an excellent beer. It's funny. The guidelines talk about it should be intense roastiness in the aroma. Yeah, I get the intense roasted barley, and yet for flavor, it intensely malty, but it doesn't say anything about intense roast malt. It's in one of these head scratching things that they did their best in 1999. We today would kind of go back and scratch our heads about some of this stuff. I think it's the roast flavor is roasted barley and not the black patent. It's excellent, well made. I will finish this bottle and I'll be going to bed fairly soon thereafter. But total is 41, and thank you very much for sharing.
I think it definitely leans toward the American style of Imperial Stout than the English style, which is more a little sweeter, a little more fruitier.
No, totally agree. And I also, before I was done, I want to throw it out there, and Mike will tell us. I'm curious if this is his famous tricentennial Imperial Stout.
Indeed, it is.
All right. I feel honored to have a chance to have some. Thank you.
Wow.
So the targets are 100 original gravity, 100 bitterness, and 100 color. And that's how
that's the tricentennial.
Yeah.
Got it.
So and you're right. There's no black patent in this. It's half. Well, let's put it this way: the hops are not really there for flavor. They do 2 things. One is the bitterness to balance because there is some residual sugar, so it balances that. But also the Northern Brewer hop is a little minty, and that goes very, very well with the pale chocolate that's in it. And it gives you kind of a cocoa, dry powder cocoa. Then the regular chocolate that's in there gives you the bittersweet chocolate.
Interesting.
So those play off of the roast barley. So it does have. I only calculated 10% alcohol in here.
Well, I believe you. I believe you, but the 10% is hitting kind of hard.
It's a big beer.
Yeah, it is, man. Can you drop us a recipe, Mike? You want to kick that out?
Yeah, I can give you some ideas. So you got to use British pale ale malt. And I went back and forth between Golden Promise and Maris Otter. Maris Otter would be even more extreme than this. The Golden Promise kind of tames it down a little bit. That's what we use in this one. 2 pounds of wheat. It's got 2 pounds of crystal. This is for a 10-gallon recipe. 2 pounds of crystal 120 and 2 pounds of crystal 45. So that the dark fruit was mostly from the crystal 120.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then it's got 4 pounds of chocolate malt, 2 pounds of pale chocolate, and 4 pounds of roast barley. So, yeah, it's way over the top.
Yeah.
And there is some finishing Goldings and Cascade, which are supposed to lighten up the aroma just a little bit, but like you say, it's kind of overwhelmed.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did get a little resininess, a little citrusy resiny in there, but it's playing nicely with the dark malt.
Yeah.
I think resiny flavors tend to play well with darker malt than modern hops like tropical or something would do weird things.
Yeah, I agree. But again, there's that balance. There's that dance of like, because dark malts, like hoppy dark beers are hard. Just like sour dark beers are hard to do.
Right.
Yeah. So you definitely have to have a sensitive hand, if you know what I'm trying to say. Very good. Well, that's cool, man. Mike, thanks for making that. Oh, Cooper, sorry, go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, I wanted to ask you your opinion, Jason.
Me? Oh, I thought I'd give it to, yeah, I like it. I think, like I said, it is way over the top. But you know, here it's 77.4 degrees here in the studio. And this beer is about as room temperature as you're gonna get. And it's still really drinkable. There is that mint that comes through a little bit, which I'm just noticing now. But when I first opened it and poured it, it was definitely like cocoa powder, like bitter chocolate powder. Then I also got I got into my baker era where, you know, if you ever make a chocolate cake, the secret is put a little ground espresso powder or like instant coffee in there because it accentuates the chocolate. But sometimes if you put too much, like me, because you're an idiot, this is the kind of thing that you get where it's like the cocoa with the espresso, but there's not really the bitterness of the coffee. It's the bitterness of the chocolate. It's the whole kind of like thing that was very reminiscent of that to me, like a really rich German chocolate cake batter kind of thing, but not obviously exactly. But no, I thought it was really great. That was a fantastic beer.
Where would you score this one?
Oh man, you're killing me. 39.
Okay.
How about that? I don't know.
I landed at 38. You landed 39, and Brian was at 41. So
I like it. I think it's great.
Too far away from this, Mike. I don't think. What yeast did you use, and what was the final gravity? I don't think we talked about that.
Okay. So back in the early days, I went back and forth between English, Irish, and Scottish yeasts because I was trying on purpose to get diacetyl to try to add another complexity to it.
Interesting.
I lost all my desire to diacetyl in the beer over the years. So this is just 1056, and that's why it's a good attenuator. And what was the other one?
What was your final gravity on this?
Oh, this one is 32.
You started off at like at 100?
Yeah, you start, well, the target was 100. It came out 108.
Okay. That's really good attenuation for starting off at 108.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
that's great.
It finishes quickly too.
How fast did it finish?
Well, the primary, I mean, it stops bubbling in about 10 days.
Wow. Yeah, it's with a big beer sometimes, like the challenge is sometimes to have it not ferment super fast. But yeah, 10 days is plenty of time. Like you don't want to, sometimes the yeast go nuts in that first day, and you don't want to have it just like, you know, ferment over and just go crazy with 24 hours, and then you have to put the weird off flavors and stuff.
If you can pitch it at like 65 and then let it go up, then that's usually enough to get rid of fusels.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. All right, well, tell you what, let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll bust out this IPA, huh?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep.
All right, everybody, hang on. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back. All right, thanks for sticking around, everybody. We're back here and we're busting out this IPA from Ken, who is unfortunately unable to be with us because he's not as committed to homebrewing as the other guys are. No, he is, you know,
or he's having more fun touring vintage cars.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably having a blast. What's he doing? Are you guys?
He's got like antique cars. He's on like a car tour.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Jeez, dude. I would much rather be doing that. I'm not even a car guy, but I'd rather be doing that. You know what I mean? 78 degrees in here. I want to get out of here. Okay. So Ken's IPA. Do we know a little bit about this, or is it pretty just straightforward, Coop?
Go ahead.
There were some notes. I'll let John tell us.
All right.
Don't have a whole lot of notes from Ken on them. Ken and I used to make this beer many years ago. It was still a very heavier caramel malt, of course, than today's beer. It's got 2-row pale malt, traditional C hops, which were Cascade and Columbus. A lot of times at that point, it seems to ask backwards, but we were using Columbus as bittering hops. Cascade as bittering hops, and clumbing hops to finish and dry hop.
Yeah,
Which
that
is
sounds right.
not much bang for your buck, but if you like Columbus hops, that was it.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. That mindset of like, well, it's Cascade's the workhorse, man, and everything else is icing on the cake.
Columbus with the new hops, so we're featuring those. So
yeah,
I remember when Columbus was a new hop.
Yeah, dude, that's such a God bless. That's such a good homebrewer mindset, man. I love that.
Now it's like this old man, it's been around forever. Like only old guys use Columbus.
God, I love it so much. I miss that.
CTZ.
I miss that.
Yeah.
I think Christopher Columbus used Columbus.
Yeah. What was the T? There was like Columbus, Tomahawk, and Zeus. Yes.
Yeah.
CTZ hops.
Man, how cool. We were all basically kind of on the bleeding edge.
Hell yeah, we were.
Of homebrewing and like, oh, there's the new thing. And then now we've been around so long, the new thing is the old thing. And we're like, we're going to be all puttering around going, do you guys remember when this was new?
They still use Simcoe. They still use Simcoe. That's one that just will never go away.
When I was a kid, we used Simcoe. And, okay, Dad, that's fine. Time for bed.
Our Simcoe tasted like licking a pine tree.
Our Simcoe tasted like cat pee.
That's right. All right, what else do you got, John?
We don't know.
That's it.
That's it. It's crapshoot from there.
No details.
Just like it is.
Love it. All right.
It's the beer was brewed with 100% caramel malt. And somehow they got that to convert, and well, it's already converted in the kernel, so you're fine.
You're good.
Mash
it. Steeped 5 gallons of crystal malt.
Steep it in an extract to get it where you need it to be.
I tell you, I
get that rich IPA color.
I like it. I don't know, man. It's very it's hot. I'm just gonna jump in because what we've been doing this for an hour and a half. I don't care anymore. Mm-hmm. It's very hot. Not very hot, but it's hot. It's warming because it's also 78 degrees. It's room temperature. But man, it tastes good. It's just such a refreshing change of pace.
Wait, let me. You're saying that an IPA tastes good?
Yeah, because right now to me it tastes a lot like a modern pale ale, but obviously a little bit more intense. But I mean it's a good beer. It's definitely very flavorful. I enjoy it very much, so I'm excited about it. Shar, go ahead, hit us up.
All right, so I'm going to start off with a little bit of a discussion of the style from the 99 guidelines.
All right.
The comments are: this is a pale ale that was brewed to an increased gravity and a hop rate.
Yeah, oh God, yes. Okay, yeah.
And the overall impression says the same thing in a different way. A decidedly hoppy, moderately strong pale ale. Moderately strong pale ale. What does that even mean? Does it mean it's not as strong as a pale ale? I don't know. The ingredients. I'll try not to laugh in the middle of this one. Pale ale malt, well modified, and suitable for single temperature infusion mashing. Remember when you'd have to worry, all the instructions would be like, make sure your malt's well modified. Don't get that 6-row. Don't get some well modified pale ale malt. English hops were used in the original versions, but American hop varieties have found a place in many modern interpretations. Refined sugar may have been used in some versions also to get to that high 7.8 ABV. High sulfate and low carbonate water is essential to achieving a pleasant hop bitterness. The ABV is 5 to 7.8%. There are 10 examples given. Who would like to toss a guess or two out as to what beers might be one of the 10?
I couldn't tell you.
Somebody mentioned one of them earlier, I believe in the previous show.
Well, it's all been one show, I think, but somebody mentioned the
Liberty, maybe.
Yeah. Anchor Liberty, number one is Anchor Liberty Ale.
That was a good beer too, man.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed that I guess like the guy who from Chobani who was going to buy Anchor Steam and now is not going to.
he seems like he ghosted the whole deal.
Yeah,
and,
I'm disappointed in that.
Yeah, that's
It's
unfortunate.
Such a good brand.
Hey, Brian, is Sierra Nevada Celebration Ale one of those?
That is number 2. And in fact, I remember the first time I had an Anchor Liberty. I lived in Huntington Beach and I got it at Safeway, and it blew my fucking mind. And I was just, actually, it wasn't Safeway, it was Pavilions, the Pavilions on Beach Boulevard. That's how much I remember the time I got that Anchor Liberty 6-pack. And it was insane. There's top 2 Liberty and Celebration. There's 8 more to go.
Brian's getting excited.
Yeah, Brian has been excited. So why don't you just tell us?
Okay, number 3, Brooklyn East India Pale Ale.
Okay.
Number 4, Tupper's Hot Pocket. I have no idea what that is.
Jesus Christ.
I looked it up online. Apparently, it was from Virginia, and it's been out of business forever. Next one, Great Lakes Commodore Perry IPA.
Okay.
Followed by Samuel Smith's India Ale. This is before they separated IPA into British and American IPA, or English and American IPA. Next one, Fuller's IPA. What does Fuller's IPA have in common with Anchor Liberty at all? Like zero. There's nothing. There should not be in the same style at all. Next one, I've never heard of High Falls IPA. I have no idea what that is or was
Maybe
or would be.
British, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, easily. Next, Victory Hop Devil. Victory must have had good distribution because, like, whenever they had a style that has a Victory, that's always in the commercial examples. That must have been easy to get in the East Coast back in the day. Last one, Three Floyds Alpha King, which is funny because I went to the Three Floyds website at the show break, and Alpha King is a pale ale at 6.66% ABV.
There you go.
Spotlighting Centennial hops, the beer that started it all features a slight caramel sweetness and pronounced citrus hoppiness. The first beer we ever brewed at Three Floyds back in 1996. So apparently I suspect they've massaged it some, but I also tend to think, based on that description, they've just changed it they've called it a pale ale now that pale ales can be almost 7%.
And that was like a brand new beer when this came out. They made a splash in the short 3 years between making it and the guidelines.
That was like all over Zymergy and all the beer media for a long time. It was Three Floyds, Alpha King, oh my God. And they had like some big imperial stout or big barley wine or something that was a big deal back in the day. So good for them. But that's a little blast from the past about the Imperial Pale Ale style in 1999, or the IPA style. Again, the style that is now so many things. All right, I'm a little tipsy. Can you tell? All right,
No.
bottle inspection. I checked that box. Although there is no hiss, here's what's kind of interesting. I had 2 bottles of this. The first bottle there was no hiss, and it smelled a little off. So I put that aside, got a clean glass and the second bottle and popped that. And I had some hiss, low hiss, and it smelled fine. So there was clearly a bottling issue or something. It was clearly a packaging issue with that first bottle. I don't know if it wasn't sealed all the way or not all the way clean or what. That bottle also, I poured a bunch out and it was fine afterwards. But right when I popped the cap, that carbonation started to quickly grow in the neck of the bottle, which tells me that bottle wasn't entirely clean, because that's when I would bottle, that was always, you could tell the ones that had maybe a little bit of residual stuff in there, because you'd get that carbonation sort of growing up the neck, and that was a danger sign that it maybe wasn't going to be good. Yeah, that would creep up there. But yeah, I was glad that I poured out that first bottle. I went to the second bottle. The second bottle was much better than that one would have been. Aroma, medium citrus hop aroma. I get sort of a medium herbal / spice also. Medium low malt with a hint of caramel. And again, as this warms up, it was kind of warm when I judged it. Now that we're 3 hours later, I'd say more than a hint of caramel, probably up to medium caramel at this point. Medium low caramel. No esters. I didn't get any off aromas. 9 out of 12 on that. Appearance, 3 out of 3. Medium head is ivory in color. Persistent. Medium gold color. Crystal clear. What's interesting is that also the second bottle, the one that I'm judging and the one that this sample is from, this IPA is definitely lighter in color. not by a lot, probably by 1 or 2 Lovibond, but it was noticeably lighter than the one that was off. So take from that what you will. I don't entirely know what that means, but it's another data point that something unfortunate happened in that first bottle.
Oxidation.
Which would point to the idea that maybe the cap wasn't totally sealed, which would allow oxidation and let the carbonation out and let bacteria or spores or something in. Again, appearance 3 out of 3. Flavor. Initially, the flavor is spicy and citrus hop flavor, and bitterness is pretty high. The bitterness initially the bitterness is kind of medium. The bitterness increases to high throughout the whole sample. It's very interesting. Most beers have kind of this curve where you have like bitterness is kind of high. It'll peak at mid palate, and you'll get some kind of balance, and that balance will go on to the finish. This beer, the malt was pretty linear all the way through, and the bitterness was kind of ramped up all the way through from the beginning through the entire finish to kind of dominate the finish. Nothing wrong with that. It's just unusual. It's not how the malt / bitterness relationship usually works in most beers. And that it caught my attention enough to write about that and write that down. There is low caramel in here, just like in the aroma. Although I think the flavor has less caramel than the aroma does. And it's always interesting to me when that happens, but it's that's what I perceived. Well attenuated. There's a little bit of sweet ethanol that is noticeable to me in the middle. I could be imagining that it could be could be the caramel malt. Again, this is one of those things where we're not used to judging these beers that are brewed in this way anymore.
Not at all.
So there's what we were used to judging 25 years ago is not quite what we're doing now. So there are some lack of familiarity with some of these recipes that comes into play. 16 out of 20 for flavor, mouthfeel 5 out of 5, body's medium carbonation, low warming. It's perky, neither creamy nor astringent. There's enough carbonation to lift the caramel off your tongue. Mm-hmm. It's not it's not super high or super low. Overall impression 8 out of 10 for a total of 41. This beer does take me back to the IBU wars of the 1990s. It does remind me a little bit of everyone was trying to get to that mythical 100 on the log scale, which no one could ever quite get to, despite all the marketing of we have 150, we have 200. You remember those days when people would calculate ridiculous IBUs and put those on their bottle? And I don't think ATF ever did a damn thing about any of that. It was just kind of funny. And I think that the period accurate caramel malt may blunt the hop aroma. I talked about that before, I think, with regard to that pale ale. I would be curious to look into that. And I made a note, this beer is totally tubular. Or was that a 90s thing, or was that an 80s thing that we would say back in the day?
An 80s thing, man.
As an 80s thing? I don't remember quite. I'm old. So
true. This
beer is still tubular. So excellent work. I appreciate getting the chance to drink this.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna say 2 words, and I want you to see if this resonates with you. Flintstones vitamins.
No.
Not in a bad way. No. Okay. All right.
No. When I was 5, I used to climb up on the kitchen counter because my mom would hide the Flintstones vitamins up in the kitchen cabinet in the top shelf. Okay. And I would, because I liked how they tasted, and I would climb up on the counter, and I could get that cabinet open, reach up just high enough to grab the vitamins, and dispense extra vitamins to myself and my siblings because they tasted good. And I was lucky I didn't die of like vitamin A overdose or something.
Iron poisoning.
My mom eventually figured out that why are we going through this big bottle of vitamins so fast? And, because Brian is climbing up on the counter and giving 5 extra vitamins to everybody a day because they taste good.
Before the days of childproof caps.
Or cabinets or anything like that.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right,
so no vitamins for me. Today.
Let's light it up, brother.
In this beer.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So I'll go through it as well. We're in 1999. Yeah. I opened the beer. Had a slightly toward high fill. Did have a light hiss upon opening. Appropriate capping and all that. The beer had a bright in the nose, a bright floral, medium high, bright floral, perfumey, and citrus, with a light grassiness, probably from some dry hopping, kind of almost hay-like. There's like so much going on in the hops, and it just started to take me right back. And I was really the way the hops combine with the malt that is here, but it's like the hops are still winning, and that's really nice to me. It does have a complex and persistent malt in there as well. It's ready, and somewhat backgroundy, but it's also, it's got a little bit of a carameliness in it and a little bit of a toastiness to it. But it seems like a very clean U.S. ale ferment, medium high fruity esters, no DMS or diacetyl, just yeah. No, it's not over the top caramelly. The caramelness is not like to the point where it's like biting me in the face and totally bashing down the hops. It gives some balance, but it's there, and it's just there to a really good level. And Brian talked about Liberty Ale. I was living in Oregon at the time when I first started tasting IPAs in the mid-late 90s, and it was Bridgeport IPA. That was
I forgot
my
about
first
that
IPA,
brand.
and it was just
Lucky guy.
a citrus bomb, and it was just very, I don't know if they used Centennial and Cascade or some of those very bright sea hops that were just in your face, and it was a little lighter than this one, but these kind of ones were around too, and it really does bring me back.
Oregon was IPA Central back in the day,
man. Yeah, there were so many different things going on there. The beer is very clear. It's a deep golden amber, kind of a yellow-orange sheen underneath, and a very creamy white. And the first bottle I opened had a pretty persistent head. This one seemed, it started a little lower and went flat a little faster. I'm sensing some bottle variation in there, but I gave it a 3 out of 3 for appearance still. Flavor-wise, this medium-high classic U.S. resiny and citrusy, grapefruit-like hop and citrus. Right up front is hope. When I tasted it, I was like, yep, that's there. A very light touch of caramelly and light toast in the malt. Clean ferment. It's pretty bright and estery. It makes it perky that way, I think, in a good way. There is some floralness to it too. Like there's a perfumey quality to the hops. There's a floral quality. I almost got to the point of like thinking about like soapiness, like a little touch of that kind of like floral, not like soap washing in your mouth, but like just good soap. I don't know, just an impression of something like floral that that balances with the citrus. Like there's a lot of complexity.
Like the good soap you would lick. Does it taste good? Yeah.
It's a clean floral. It's we get it,
Clean floral.
Little.
The bitterness is medium high, but it's not a monster in that department. It's right to the edge of what you'd want. The beer is dry, but not bitingly so. And it's got a nice it's got a smooth alcohol there. I would say it comes through kind of low-ish, medium low in the flavor. But it's pretty persistent, leading me to think that it might be on the stronger side for this guideline, which goes up to 7.8, which is, that's almost a double IPA. So I think now it says 7.5. I don't remember exactly, but it's close, but still, like, this seems like it's on the stronger edge for an IPA, but that was always welcome. And, like John said, in competitions, you'd want to brew for those judges to get the stronger beer that, okay, this is going to push over the edge of the other ones maybe a little bit and stick out in their minds. So yeah, now mouthfeel, it's medium body. There's no astringency. There's a light warming from the noticeable alcohol here. Not really creamy. It does have that kind of dry sulfatey edge to it, which is nice. And a medium carbonation. So everything was okay to style there. I couldn't give it, I gave it 5 out of 5 for mouthfeel just because it was pretty right. And then overall impression, to me, it was reminiscent of some of the best late 1990s American IPAs out there.
I'll give you that.
And it seemed fairly fresh. Although at the time, sometimes you get stuff that was fresh, but a lot of times if you bought a beer in the grocery store, it'd be sitting there for a while. And I rarely ever buy beer in the grocery store anymore. It's like, buy it from the brewery or brew it myself when I'm still brewing something. But I do have a batch going now. Anyway, good job packaging the beer, I would say. So I did know this is a little bit had been sitting around for a while, but the hops are inviting in the nose, and they really deliver alongside the alcohol and malt and the flavor. The alcohol does seem to be toward the higher end, like I said, but not too sickly sweet or anything like that. It's just, with the malt and everything else is smooth and hoppy, and I thought pretty wonderful. So I'm about where Brian is, 40, 42-ish, I'd say. It seems like to modern standards, you wouldn't judge it that way, but I was just judging it to my memory of the style from then, and it called to mind a lot of the really good styles. So I couldn't drop it down too far. I just couldn't find a lot to fault this beer with, other than maybe the carbonation could come up a little bit. But
Sure.
It's kind of classic to me. I don't know, JP, if you agree or.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it just annoys me that the highest rated beer on the show is a fucking IPA. It bothers me.
And the guy that's not here, sorry.
The guy that's not here. But I mean,
and you like it.
It is well deserved. I mean, it is bitter. There's the caramel malt. It's definitely a throwback beer. And I think you're right, Cooper. This is probably like the high watermark of that era for IPAs before we started stripping down. Maybe even a little bit beyond that, when like maybe a little bit after we started kind of streamlining the process and over hopping that kind, because it is a little aspirin-y, and again, it's 80 degrees here, 80.1. So it's warming up. It's not doing itself any favor. So if this was colder, I probably wouldn't be getting a lot of that. No, it's I agree. It's a great beer. It's fantastic. So kudos to Ken.
We hope he's having fun.
Yeah, well done.
Cruising among the classic cars.
Yeah, man.
Or probably sleeping by now.
Well, look, who knows? You never know, man.
Who knows? Our party.
What do you want to do, Coop, with the rest of the time here, brother?
We don't have any time, do we?
I don't know. You had mentioned that you wanted to like have a conversation, but we've already been doing this for 2 hours.
Yeah, we've done kind of 2 shows in one. I did kind of want the guys just kind of discuss their experience in the early days of craft beer and go back and just throw out a memory or two from the early days of the craft beer revolution. What you drank before, like me in college, I thought Miller Genuine Draft was the good beer. You'd have that in your fridge in the dorm, and but then I went to Germany. It's like, oh wait, there's all these cool lagers, and then IPA, the craft beer thing happened, and I was like, wow, okay. So I was ruined, but like, there's hopefully some fun experiences or beginnings of your home brewing, beginnings of judging, or anything else that you could relate and share with us that the younger generations could take forward from here and bring us back to the good old days. Maybe. No, I don't know. I'm just, I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic, and in a way, it's like craft beer has advanced. In other ways, craft beer has developed in ways we never would have predicted back in 1999. So
very true.
Or good or bad,
Yeah.
But share some thoughts and some fun memories, maybe.
Yeah, it's like we're at a wake for beer in the 90s.
I think the most unanticipated thing is how the styles have evolved. So the IPA, I agree. I think that was a fantastic retro IPA, and it doesn't surprise me that it scored as high as it did. As soon as I took a whiff of that, I was like, wow, that is the 90s. And it just amazes me that, IPA is nothing like that now. The guidelines keep changing, and it's just odd to me that we don't kick out new beer styles to accommodate changing tastes and hold the old styles the same. But you got to do one or the other. Either the guidelines have to evolve, or
Yeah,
you got to
that's
spin out a whole lot of new guidelines, which would be confusing.
Yeah.
it's a
But yeah,
really
it's
interesting thought.
vastly different.
Yeah, I remember too when all the bitterness dropped out of all the IPAs, and it's just
Where did
you
it
got
go?
some of the
Now
first
it's really
ones like
just
that.
an
And it's
IPA
like,
with a hell of a lot of dry hopping. It's odd to me,
but it was hard for us as a judge to go to a competition and say, well, to the modern version of the style, like the guidelines were still 2015 guidelines or whatever it was, or 20 whatever the one before 2008. You're judging it to like it must be super bitter and this and that and something else. Like
right.
it's not
But
that, but it's good. It's just
it's funny
the
you
modern
mentioned
one.
the 100 IBU goal, and I can remember brewing some IPAs where we're gonna max the IBUs out, and hey, those beers were awful. They really were,
Oh yeah.
but
Oh
hey,
yeah.
we had
Remember
fun
when
doing
they
it.
first did like hop oils, which were supposed to be more for bitterness, not for the flavor? And we're gonna put some stuff here to make this beer a full 100. We're gonna go over 100. Yeah. Oh
but
God.
that's the I don't know, dichotomy, whatever it is, of the freedom that you have as not only a craft brewer but a home brewer is to just do dumb shit like that and figure out what it tastes like.
Yeah.
And then if you were on the side of craft brewing, you could sell it.
Yeah.
Not that it was necessarily particularly good, but there was a market of weird asses like us, strange animals who would enjoy tasting this, not necessarily because it's good or to reproduce it, but just to see what it tastes like. And if I can try that, then we can do it. And then we kind of like learn from it. So it definitely was this really weird kind of heady time of experimentation and learning about what we're doing, and also kind of having fun with that whole process.
Right. American
Anything
beer
is possible.
going to the extremes and adding whatever flavors he wanted. And then you could see why, sometimes they make fun of that a little bit. It's like, oh, okay, I got my, oatmeal, potato, and raisins and amber ale here.
Not everything needed to happen. Okay. Not everything needed to happen, but it all serves a purpose, and it all comes, back around. But it was interesting when we worked so hard, the new guidelines came out, and then hazy IPAs kind of hit the market. And you're like, that was my big thing. It's like, but we spent all this time as homebrewers working on style guidelines and doing judging to style. And then we have this thing that we're also embracing that the things don't match together. What we need to pick one. We need to pick, if we're going to be style guideline people, then that's what we need to be. And we need to reject everything until we have a style developed for it. And that was really confusing to me. And I'm not even a judge. I'm just an idiot. So that's it.
I wouldn't say you're just an idiot.
Well, thank you.
How about John or Mike? You have some memories from back in the day? Thoughts?
Well, I think when I first started, it was cans of extract, and you had a dry yeast pasted to it, and a little hops in the extract.
Yeah,
And would bulge and so on.
It was mixed with the extract. Yeah.
Yeah. So the step up to understanding grain and getting real malt flavors was a big thing. So malt was the evolving thing at that point, not the hops. And so we're starting in a different place and a worse place. But I think a lot of the styles that are more malt focused these days are, not as present in the breweries, and they're not as present in the homebrew that's made.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of good malty styles that are, worth playing with. People are going back to some of the heritage malts, but that's like going back to the 1800s.
I find that there's more interest in some of the dark lagers these days too, like the Czech dark lager and things. Lagers are coming up in the modern day, and I think that's a welcome thing. You have some breweries that just brew hazy IPAs and lagers, and sometimes they brew really good lagers and really good hazy IPAs, and it's fine.
I think part of that is there wasn't much of an import into the U.S., and so it's available now, so it's new, and yeah, it's got some cachet.
Yeah, I'm glad we're getting to a point where we can have a brewery that has a balance of both, or like beer bars that have a balance of different styles, ales and lagers. That to me that makes me happy. You know what I mean? It's like you're more often than not you'll walk in and there's a variety. Where I remember places that have 15 taps, 8 of them are IPAs. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is that? It's all going to taste. It all tastes the same.
I agree. And sorry, go ahead.
I'm glad we turned the corner on a lot of these styles, and like most of you guys probably never been a hazy IPA guy.
Yeah.
Sure that they make them, they sell them, they're great for people who want to buy them. It's still great to be a home brewer to brew the styles you want to brew. We can go back and brew styles from the 90s. That's what we just did. Do I do that? No. I've evolved also. But it's great to be able to go and get a lot of really good lagers now, and just more drinkable beers than things that are just pushed to the limits that don't need to be pushed to the limits. So it's a great time to drink really good beer, really good fresh beer that's made locally, that's just flat ass drinkable.
Yeah,
exactly.
So what initially led you to home brewing? Was it because you couldn't get the beers that you wanted to drink, or
pretty much? I have no history of going to Germany or like that, but it was the old a friend had brewed, a friend and myself tried to brew, had a couple of really crap batches. I was lucky enough to live here in Santa Rosa and have access to Byron Birch, and I'm just a Byron Birch disciple, and I just hung with him for years and learned everything I know pretty much, besides all the people I know. But I mean, from him, if it wasn't for somebody like that as a teacher, I probably would have given up years ago.
Yeah,
But,
I never met Byron, but his book was the little white book with the beer on the front. I think it was a stout on the front, and it came with my homebrew kit when I bought my first homebrew kit in 2002, and it was like, wow. I read through that thing cover to cover a couple times before I even thought about attempting to brew. But he put everything out.
If you read the latest version, which is still years ago, it's all pretty much exactly still true.
Real straightforward, and everything makes sense.
Easier than anybody else, and I was with the Sonoma bureaucrats for years, and we had a lot of really good brewers around me. So it was great to go through those years. It's still great to brew, but I'm brewing the styles that I want to drink. I don't do many IPAs. You can go buy lots of great IPAs. Brew what you want to brew.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. What do you guys, we're good with that?
Yeah, that was a really fun experiment, and I'm glad it worked out the way it did. It definitely brought me back to an earlier time in the craft beer and home brewing, renaissance, where there were certain styles that you just had to brew well, and we represented a lot of them here tonight. It was fun to taste them again.
I'm grateful to all of our guests for sharing some excellent beers.
Yeah,
Paul, and John, Mike, giving us a great things to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we finally got to make this happen. And for everybody listening, I appreciate you guys sitting through this episode. Like I said, on our last show, it's not going to be consistent anymore, but we have some stuff up our sleeves. We're talking a little bit about different things that we can do, different shows that we can, still bring content to you guys, and hopefully it impacts your home brewing and, makes you feel good or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for listening to this show. Again, Paul, John, and Mike, thank you guys very much for brewing these beers and sitting through, us talking nonsense. We're really just making things up, and that's probably very clear. Anyway, thank you guys very much. Brian, thank you, of course, for carving out time to do this again. I know it's not consistent right now, but
thanks to Ken for sending in his beer as well.
Yeah.
And you can email me, Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com, and send us your ideas for a future show, or where we could go from here, you know?
Yeah. Or if you want to sponsor the show, send me an email, jp@thebrewingnetwork.com, and I'll give you a quote.
Yeah. If you're rich enough to sponsor us all going to a remote, desert island and brewing homebrew for 2 weeks together and having a little competition there. That's my next idea for competition.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
well,
I don't want to. No islands. We're going to brew in Bamberg.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We're going to all go to the town square and we're going to brew like a 10-liter batch or something, 40-liter batch.
50
we're going to use only ingredients we can beg from local brewers, like smoked malt and apples or something.
I like your idea better, Brian.
Yeah, I like it too. I'll remote in.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Until next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, fellas.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate
Fun.
it.
That was a great
again,
show. Thanks so much.
Great. Yeah.
I'm gonna
welcome.
save.
Thanks.
I'm gonna save your beer, Mike. I'm gonna save it for at least another year and a half. It's very good as it is.
5 more years.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
All right,
Very
boys.
cool.
Thank you very
Night.
much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
gentlemen.
Bye, guys.
So thanks,
Have a
Mike.
good night. Bye, guys.